what would you have advice for 16, 18-year-olds, young men watching this to go out and find people more successful than them? Is it all online now?
I think your approach is very good. I think it's a combination between rapport and there needs to be a what's in it for me. Every person always has something that's in it for them. So when you go meet somebody who's very successful, you need to figure out what is it that they need? What is it that they want? Which is where we talk about this meme of I studied, right? Like you need to study people. You need to be in a situation whereby you know what people enjoy, what people like, where you can provide value. And through that value, you get access to the room. Many times in this neighborhood, for example, we talk about my brother, Mr. Belmar. People would entertain conversations with him a lot longer than they would entertain conversations with me. Why? Well, you can teach them about wealth in the sense of how to develop your body, because we talk about wealth not just being money, but how your health is, how your mindset is. So he gets invited to biohacking retreats with very successful people, and certain things that they're looking for that they can't get to them is valuable. So if all you have is money and these guys already have money, then there isn't really something that you can offer them. So by studying these individuals, by tapping into these people, you not only provide value, but value is provided to you in return. So it's a symbiotic relationship. You want something from somebody like a mentor. Well, what are you willing to give them? You know, are you willing to work for free? Are you willing to clean their car? Are you willing to just show up, be a friend? And in return, these people will do favors for you. They'll help you. And that's what a lot of my success has been in life, has been through connecting with people. And the connection comes from getting to know them and studying them and figuring out what are the things that they actually enjoy, the things that they like, being able to provide that. And in return, they provide to me what I need. It's business. I give to you something, you give something to me in return.
And why do you make it such an emphasis to connect with people younger than you? Because I'm guessing you've had mentors in the past that were older than you that kind of gave you that, but is there any other reason that you're friends with so many people, teens, like late or early 20s?
I mean, this upcoming generation, and you've probably witnessed it as well, they're maturing and they're growing up a lot sooner than other generations. When I was 18, 19 years old, I wasn't thinking about business. I wasn't thinking about making money. I was out here kicking a football. I was going out with my friends, hanging out. Nowadays, kids are 16, 17, they're dialed in, they're learning, they're leveling up, they're actually mature. And what you want to do is invest into the future. Just like you would buy a piece of real estate when it's undervalued, investing into people that are the future is also good. And it's the idea of giving back. How I often compare it is to how water moves. If water goes into a place that is stagnant, like a swamp, it's going to create filth, toxicity, and nothing can live. But a river, it creates the ability to bring life because it's going from point A to point B. There's no resistance, nothing is stuck. If you're blessed in life, you want to bless others. If you are financially capable, you want to bring others along your journey. When I got started, I had mentors in my life that bet on me. And eventually, you can bet on their companies, you can bet on their entrepreneurial journey. And there's an ROI, a massive ROI in investing in the younger generation because they're the future. An old dog can't learn new tricks, but a young dog has no tricks that they've learned yet. So you have the ability to curate them, teach them, and elevate them. I love hanging out with entrepreneurs that are hungry. Once you make money, you lose that hunger. When I got started, I remember I was working 17, 18-hour days. I would feel anxious at night that I couldn't sleep because I was broke. That hunger, that thirst for success, for winning, is what a lot of these young cats have. So being able to invest into that also invigorates me and empowers me to be like, hey, I got to keep going. There's more for it. There's more for me. There's more to do. And through this process, I'm able to not only create a symbiotic relationship, give and receive, because I'm always asking for things in return, whether it's equity or whether it's, hey, come join Capital Club, Elite Entrepreneur Network. But it's also understanding that there are relationships in life that if you want to grow, have to be maintained. And there's 3 types of relationships that every man should have. Every man should have a mentor, somebody that they look up to, somebody that they want to be like. somebody that empowers them to see the potential of who they could become. A peer, somebody that's your friend, somebody that you can confide in, that you can build a friendship, a business partner, a best friend. And then you have mentees, people that you pour into. It could be a younger sibling. It could be somebody that's in school that's a couple grades earlier than you are. And through this process, you have accountability from the top, from the middle, and from the bottom. So every man in their life should have 3 relationships: mentor, peers, and mentees.
I think that advice has been particularly helpful for me, and I found most enjoyment. Because a lot of the alpha that you're getting in business is not going to be the people way ahead of you. That's going to be the big picture stuff, the mindset stuff. The people that are slightly ahead of you or at your level, that's where you're going to find a lot of alpha. And then the people below you, that's honestly where you get the most gratification, is where you help someone younger than you or less behind you in business. And even if they make a few $1,000s a month when they weren't doing that before, that's just probably the most gratifying thing.
I agree. I have a business partner that about 5 years ago, he was one of my mentees in e-commerce. I got started in e-commerce. That was how I started making my first money online before I rotated and started investing heavy into crypto. His name's Anthony Eclipse, big YouTuber in the dropshipping space. And when I met him, he was like, "Hey, Luke, I'd like to pay you $1,000 for you to teach me e-commerce." At the time, he was planning to go and be a firefighter. He was at firefighting school, and he had a decision to make. Hey, I'm either going to become an online entrepreneur, or I'm just going to continue the career path that I'm on. And by investing into him, time, attention, energy, strategies, today he's a multimillionaire, and now we're in business together. So you bet on people. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but when it works, it's extremely gratifying, as you said.
I want to talk about crypto more because since our last podcast, you've had quite an interesting ride/bull run thus far. How is crypto similar to politics?
All right, well, let's talk about the first part of politics and crypto, cabals. You probably saw it with the whole political scene, and you saw it with Trump meme coin. You know, there's a conglomerate or group of people that make decisions. In politics, whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans, there's little cabals or groups of people that run the show. In crypto, these cabals also exist, whether it's a meme coin cabal, altcoin cabal, Bitcoin cabal, exchange cabal. But you have the ability to enter these circles with a lot more access and ease. But the similarity is information and access to understanding what is happening behind the scenes. If you think that investing is merely looking at a chart and making decisions, that's not really how the big dogs work. The big dogs work off of information. In politics, your edge comes through information. It comes through knowledge. It comes from knowing what your competition is going to do. It comes from leveraging other people and resources that they have to your advantage. You don't think the exchanges talk to each other as much as they hate each other? Of course they do. You don't think the top guys in crypto are out here sharing Telegram channels or Discord groups where they're sharing information about upcoming token launches, or hey, there's these unlocks that are about to come, make sure you protect your investment, or there's a new seed round that's around the corner, maybe it's a good opportunity for us to make some money. It's the same thing in politics. But the other side is that there's always your competition. For the Democrats, you have the Republicans. For crypto, you have traditional finance. Now it's no longer the same because Trump in office has created a scenario where crypto is now accepted. But we could mention that maybe 5 years ago, crypto and the banks were not friends. They were two completely separate cabals trying to dominate the space. But today they're more so intertwined and married. It's kind of united. But it's about finding these groups that have leverage, that have access to information, and that give you an edge in the market. All you need is an edge. You know, you look at all these highly successful investors from Silicon Valley that cut a check for 20 grand to get access to Uber IPO or access to Airbnb before it was public. What does that come from? That comes from a cabal. That comes from a group of people that get deal flow, that get access to information. So if you can get that, it's a very sweet point. But that comes from what? We talked about it before. Having mentees, having peers, and having mentors. And not only that, but having humility to realize that you don't know everything. Because if you know everything, then nobody can say, hey, check out this piece of information. Hey, look at this new investment opportunity. Because you're thinking that your way of investing, your way of making money is the best. It doesn't work that way. The most successful people that I've seen, whether it's in business, whether it's in finance, whether it's in politics, they work in units.